If you want to better understand your finances, it might not be as hard as you think. Finances can feel overwhelming and complicated, but in this video we're going to break down some simple money habits that can help you get in control of your finances, understand where your money's going, and how best to optimize your time as well. By the end of the video, you'll know where you are right now, but also the steps and habits you need to put in place to get to where you want to get to. And hopefully you'll pick up some advice and tips along the way that's going to help you get there. We're going to cover 7 habits specifically in this video, and each one will help improve your finances by a little bit. If you stitch them all together, then you're going to be in a really good position and doing really well with your finances. But without further delay, let's get into those habits now. Habit number 1, know the cost of your time. The old adage goes that time is money. But I'm willing to bet that you probably don't actually know how much you're being paid per hour to do the job you're doing at the moment. Most people are salaried in the job that they do, so what that means is they're given a lump sum for the year for the work that they do for a company, and that pays out normally every single month. But what a lot of people don't do is break that money down to work out how much they're actually being paid per hour. Why is working that number out important? Because by working that number out, it allows you to better assess purchases that you make within your financial system, purchases that you make every single month. You can weigh them up in terms of how many hours at work it takes you to earn that money. By having that information, you can then make a better judgment call on if that purchase really is a necessity or it's a nice to have. So by knowing your hourly rate, it helps you better analyse whether you do or don't want to make that purchase. Let's work through an example. Let's say you earn £30,000 a year. And you work 40 hours a week. That's a pretty standard working week for most people. What that means is, and when you break that £30,000 down, is that you're earning £2,500 a month. That's what you'll have coming into your bank account every month when you get paid. That also works out to be roughly around £576 a week if you take a full 52-week year and your £30,000 salary. If you break it down again, that means you're earning roughly £115 a day. So you can now see how we're starting to bring that money down so that you can start better evaluating your purchases. And if you bring it down one more level, you're actually earning about £14.42 an hour in the job that you're doing, assuming that it provides that £30,000 a year salary. You can work this out for yourself as you just take your salary and literally do those simple numbers. You can divide it by 12, that's how much you're getting paid a month. If you divide it by 52, that's how much you're getting paid a week. You take that weekly number, you divide it by 40, that's how much money you're being paid an hour. So in this example, that brings us out to £14.42. However, there are a few other things to consider before we stick on that number. One of the main things is travel. A lot of people travel to their jobs, whether you travel on the train and you're commuting that way or whether you're driving. There's always a cost associated to getting to and from your job. So if you start to factor those costs in as well. So let's take just £50 a week. We're assuming a commuting cost of that, whether that be in fuel or whether that be in train fares. So if we do that and apply the same numbers, what that means is, and it brings us down to earning £27,600 a year. If you take that £50 a week across the whole year, that then brings you down to £2,283 a month that you've got coming in, £527 a week, £105 a day, and then bringing it down to our hourly rate, that brings us down to £13.17. So now we've got a better overall picture of what our hourly rate is doing a job that's paying us £30,000 a year. We're working 40 hours a week and we're taking in travel costs. You're earning £13.17 an hour in this example. You can now take that £13.17 an hour and use that to evaluate some of the purchases that you make. So if you were to go out for dinner and let's say it's going to cost you, let's just say £40 for easy numbers, it might be more than that, but let's just take £40 as an example. You've got to think of that as that's going to cost just over 3 hours of your working time to pay for that dinner. Or it might be that you're going to go clothes shopping and you're going to spend £50 on a new pair of jeans, for example. The same applies where you're going to be spending nearly 4 hours of your time at work, half of a day, earning the money to pay for those jeans. So when you start to think of your money set up, the money you've got coming in and how you spend it in those terms, it helps you get a better handle on what purchases are necessary and what purchases are nice to haves. And as I said back at the start of this habit, nice to have purchases are really important because they make you feel like your financial system is worthwhile and are letting you have what you want to have. But too many nice to have purchases can be a real drain on your finance system, and they can see a lot of your money going out before you've had chance to build an emergency fund, invest, pay off debt, pay your fixed costs, all of those really important things that need to happen every single month. So now you've got an hourly rate, you can take it away and you can assess for yourself some of the purchases you make and if you think they're worthwhile the time that you spend working to pay for them. Our second habit is automating your finances. We've just spent most of the first habit in this video talking about how important and how valuable your time is. But what you don't want to do is find that you're spending loads and loads of your time every single month manually going through the same processes for your finances. Instead, we want to get them automated. It's going to save you so much time and allow you to use that time to be able to spend it on more productive things, maybe earning some extra side income or upskilling yourself, or even just some leisure time. Like, there is a value to leisure time and being able to enjoy what you want to do. So automating your finances is really going to help you do that. To start with, all you're going to do, and this is hopefully you can do this along with me in the video today or after the video, is you're just going to want to go away and map out all of your finances. You might even already have a finance budget spreadsheet at the moment, but you're just going to want to map out all of the costs that you know that you have every single month, and then simply go down next to them in an Excel spreadsheet on a Word doc and just write a note and highlight which one of those can actually be automated, and you know that you're going to be doing that every single month. You'll have your fixed costs, which will consist largely of your direct debits, your mortgages, your rent payments, all of the bills, your utility bills, things like that. All of those are included in that. Next, depending on what your financial goals are, whether it be building an emergency fund, paying down debt, investing money, think of all of these things collectively together in another bucket. We're going to want to get these automated. If you've got yourself a budget and you've got yourself a bit of a finance plan, you'll know roughly how much you want to be contributing to each of these things every single month. Now, it might change, and that's okay. We'll come back to that in a minute. But in principle, you want to get a payment automated. So you know if all else fails, or you don't have the time, or you want to do something else with your time, the payment's going to get made. So literally get yourself a standing order or a direct debit set up to go into your stocks and shares ISA, or into your cash emergency fund, your savings account that you've got, or make sure you've got a direct debit set up to pay off debt that you may have on a credit card or on a loan or things like that. Just ensure that all those payments are automated, because then you know that that money is going out of your system at the start of the month and you don't even need to worry about it. It's not something you need to think about. The last section is then thinking about things that you might do for yourself or you might pay for consistently every single month. So it might be that, I don't know, a good example for me, right, is that I go and get my hair cut every single month. Like, that's always a consistent, it always lasts about 4 weeks. I need to go and get it cut again. So I have an automated direct debit that takes £20 out of my current account, where my money goes into, and pops it into a second current account with a card that I know I've got. I know that every month that money is on there for me to go and get my hair cut without me having to jump into my bank balance, have a look, check I've got the money there, etc. It's a really small example, but it's something that I know I do every month. So I've just got it automated to mean that I don't have to think about it when I sit down and think about my finances every month. The goal here, where we're trying to get you to, is being able to sit down at the start of every month and only having to spend 15 minutes thinking about your finances. And hopefully it will be a case of opening up your budget spreadsheet, going in, checking all the payments, going, yep, that's all sorted, that's automated, I know that's being paid. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3 irregular payments that I've got to make this month that aren't normal, that don't come up every month. So they're the only things I need to worry about factoring in payments for. And once you get yourself to that position, you'll realise, one, how comforting it is in your finances to know that all these things are covered, but two, how much less time you have to spend thinking about your finances, not just at the start of the month, but even throughout. I love the feeling of knowing I can just pay for stuff and I've already budgeted for it. The payment's already sorted. I don't need to worry about it. So definitely consider automating your finances, or automating more of them if you haven't managed to do that yet. All of these habits are going to be really useful for helping you get the most out of your finances and make your money stretch as far as possible. And I'm going to be doing lots more content like this on my channel. So if you're enjoying it so far and you're looking forward to the habits that are coming up, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because you're going to get served lots more content from me on how to improve your finances, your pension, growing emergency funds, side hustles, lots of other subjects like that hopefully just help your financial education and help bring you forward, help you understand more about money. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel and do comment down below with any video ideas. But let's get back to the habits. Habit number 3 is logging into your pension provider at least once a month. This might sound like a bit of a strange one, and you'll probably have heard and seen lots of other content out there that actually advises you to stay away from checking in with your pension too regularly and things like that, because over short periods of time the money doesn't grow that much that's in your pension, but over longer periods of time that's where you see the impact. However, I slightly disagree with that. I think that you should be looking to check in with your pension provider at least once a month. Why do I disagree with that? Because it's important to not almost draw a fence around your pension and exclude it from something you're thinking about now, because it's actually going to take up a really big part of your life. If you think about your life in quarters, you've got the first quarter of your life where you're kind of living at home and you're finding your feet financially, you're going through the education system. Then you've got a couple of quarters in the middle of your life where you're working, you're earning your income, it's coming in. That's where you've got the most money kind of accessible to you to be able to move around your finance system. But then there's a whole quarter at the latter end of your life that needs to be funded. And whilst there is a state pension, the state pension does not cover enough of what a daily and regular finances that pensioners would occur to be able to cover the costs of everything. So you're going to need a pension to help top that up. If you ignore that pension, you're not thinking about that portion of your life at any point. And then if you're not on track to reach your financial goals and your pension goals, they might slip through your fingers before you even realise, and then you might find yourself chasing your tail later down the line. So I recommend just checking in with your pension provider at least once a month. You're not doing it because you want to see exactly how much your money has grown, or it might have lost a bit depending on how and where your money in your pension is invested. It's more about getting in the habit of treating your pension like a portion of your life. It won't even be taking up a quarter of your life at this point in time, but it is going to take up a quarter of your life later down the line. So it's really important to make sure it's got some airtime in your day-to-day life, in your finance system, how you think about money. So just simply logging in every month means that you stay up to date with your login information. It stays fresh in your brain. So whenever you need to actually access your pension, it's really easy to do. You can sort of have a speculative look at how your pension has performed that month and just see if you're maybe on target to where you want to be for when you retire. And also it just keeps you up to date with how your money's being invested, where it currently is, how that's performing, any changes that you want to make, any changes to your contributions that you might want to make as well. It just keeps you thinking about all these things. If you're thinking about all these things, you're ultimately going to end up making better decisions over time for how and where your pension is invested and how and when you want to draw that pension down. So it's a really simple thing to do, and it takes 5 minutes. If you haven't done it already, when you finish this video, go away and make sure you find the access details for your current pension account. And you might have a couple out there. I've done a whole separate video on pensions, how to collect them all together, how to work out where you want to be with your pensions, all of those sorts of things. So I'll link that down in the description below, and do check it out if you want to know a bit more information about how to get on top of your pensions. But if you take one action from today's video, make sure you've got the login details for your current pension with your current employer, and also see if you can track down any other pensions that you might have out there from previous job. And then once you've got that information, use it once a month just to check in and just see where you're at and get used to your pension being part of your day-to-day life. Our fourth habit is focusing on assets and not liabilities. This one is very easily ignored by lots of people when thinking about their financial systems, but it's actually really important because it determines how your money may perform for you later down the line. Let's just define both of the terms. So a liability is something that costs you money. It's something that you lay out money for with no real expected return, or at least not expecting the full return from the outlay of money you made at the start. A great example of this would be a car. You walk into a showroom or walk into a second-hand car dealership and you purchase a car. You're outlaying a load of money at that time, and you know when you drive that car away, you won't get the same value for it that you just paid for it at any point. the value of that car is going to decrease over time. It might even decrease all the way to zero. But that's a great example of a liability because it costs you money, you pay out for it, and then the expected return is less than the money that you've laid out for initially. A car is actually almost double the impact because you also then have to pay for insurance, you have to pay for fuel to be able to run it. So in some ways a car is actually a double liability from the moment that you purchase it. So yeah, one to consider perhaps next time you're in the BMW garage. An asset, on the other hand, is still something that costs you money to acquire, but you're acquiring it with the long-term goal of it growing in value over time. This could take many forms and many different ways, but the most common, I guess, in society, the most common way that this comes out is the stocks and shares market, buying shares of companies and buying shares in particularly of companies that pay out dividends. That's probably the best example for this because if you invest your money into a company that pays out frequent dividends, you've firstly got the opportunity of your money growing or the value of your investment growing over time as the company's value progresses over time. But secondly, you've also got the opportunity to maximize the dividend payouts that your company makes. So that asset that you've purchased actually pays you back a little bit of money for being an owner of that asset. So that's a great example of an asset that you could have in your investment portfolio, in your finance system. And the important thing with an asset is that over time, the plan is that it will increase in value, grow in money, and in this instance, even pay you some money back. So if you're serious in wanting to grow a bigger financial system and you're wanting to maybe even retire early or really get the most out of your money over the duration of your lifetime, knowing the difference between these two is really important because it's going to inform what purchases you make going forwards that you think are best for your finance system. So yeah, if you take anything else away from the video today, then knowing the difference between assets and liabilities and where you want to put your money is going to be a really key tip to helping you achieve that. Habit number 5 is leveling up yourself, not your purchases. As people progress through their career, they tend to get paid more money, whether that be promotions within the company that you're in currently, or you move jobs, you move to a new company and they pay you more for the money, the job that you were doing previously. But in these situations, you often find that a lot of people take that extra money and use it for nice to have purchases. So really the benefits of increasing your salary is not having a long-term impact on your finances. It's only having an impact in the short term. You might find that because you've been promoted and you earn an extra $5,000 a year, let's say, you go out for dinner once more than you already were per month, or you do an extra clothes shop than compared to what you were doing before each month. And it's those types of things that can really erode at your chance of building long-term wealth and financial stability. The people that are really in control of this and don't let lifestyle creep take over, take the extra money that they get paid from pay increases, promotions, a change of job, and they put that money into their finance system in a way that allows them to have a better future. They pay off any remaining debt they might have. They build an emergency fund so that they can survive if they were to lose the job that they're in or have been promoted to. Or they're investing that extra money if they've got the other two things set up already, and that money is being put into a finance system to grow for them in the future. Or alternatively, spend the money on yourself in a way that levels you up. Learn a new skill, develop a skill that you already have. Develop it to a point where you can maybe start a side business and you can earn some extra income from that skill that you have. Think about using that money that you get from those pay increases and those promotions in a productive way that helps make your finance system grow even quicker and spread faster over time to allow you to have a better financial future when you want to draw down your pension or things like that. By investing that money into yourself, you could open up all sorts of earnings potential in the future, and it could lead to a significant opportunity that could ultimately end up meaning that money you earn from a side skill outperforms the money that you could earn from your salary. And that's a really strong position to be in. So really think about how that money, that extra money that comes into your system, is best spent. The 6th habit is tracking your net worth. Now this one might feel like a little bit of a vanity project, but actually what it's doing is providing you with the encouragement that you need to keep pushing on with your finances and keep growing your money over time. To define net worth, it's taking the sum of what you own and subtracting what you owe, and the money you're left with is your net worth. So if you owned things that were worth £10,000, let's say today, but you owed £5,000 on a credit card, your net worth would be £5,000 in that example. And obviously it's much bigger scale and there's a lot more components that go into making it that proper number, but that's just an example of how to calculate your net worth really quickly. It's really good to get tracking your net worth early because over time you'll really start to see it accelerate, and it's that acceleration that's going to really encourage you to kick on and keep feeding the system, keep it growing and keep it moving forwards to give you the financial rewards that you want at the end, or whatever your financial goals are. The earlier you start, the more you see your investments compound over time. You see your mortgage payments come down and decrease. And it's those things that will really start to add a multiplier effect to your net worth, and you'll start to see it increasing at a rapid rate of knots the more you progress through your life. If you're watching this and you think that your net worth actually could be negative right now, that's okay. And if anything, this tip is even more important because going from having a net worth of a minus number through that barrier of zero and into a positive is the single most rewarding thing that you'll experience on this entire journey. I've been there myself and I've been through that, and I track my net worth on a monthly basis, but the most memorable point I have when tracking my net worth was when I went from a minus number through zero and into a positive number. And that really helps kind of spur you on to keep your finance system growing over time, keep injecting more money and keep pushing it on forwards to really build that number to its maximum potential. If you want some tips on how to get your finances in order, I've also done another video on some of the small details that you can make on a daily and monthly basis that can help your money stretch further. I'll link that video down in the description, and do check it out, particularly if you're looking to take your net worth from negative into positive, or you're in a small positive number and want it to grow. There's going to be some tips in that video that will really help you. Habit number 7 is building milestones into your financial system. Milestones are so important because without them, your finances are kind of like a ship without a rudder. You don't really have a direction or anything that you're aiming for that helps then spur you on to go through all the other habits we've spoken about in this video and really maximize them. It's having these milestones is what's going to provide you with the encouragement to really kick your finances forward. To do this, simply set your milestones or your goals in 3 simple categories. It's not very intuitive, it's really basic. Look at short-term goals, medium-term goals and long-term goals. An example of a short-term goal might be something as simple as next month I want to pay £500 down of the debt that I currently owe. Whereas a medium-term goal along the similar lines might be that by the end of this year I want to have paid off all of my debt. If we switch the focus to a long-term objective, a long-term milestone, that might be that you've decided that you want to retire by the time you get to the age of 50. So there's 3 examples, one of each type of objective that you could set yourself to give yourself and your financial system milestones that you're aiming towards. These milestones will then steer all of the decisions you make about all of the money you've got coming into your system every single month, every single year, every single decade. And that's why when you put all of these habits in place, they'll slowly help bring your finances forward and help them grow over time. And having the milestones also gives you a valid reason to celebrate. There's no point having a finance system and just being really hard on yourself all of the time and all the way through it without feeling some of the benefits of all the hard work you're doing. So by having the short, the medium and the long-term milestones, you can be ticking off regular things that you want to achieve on a monthly or a yearly basis while still having that long-term objective in mind. So there we have it. There's 7 key habits that will help you improve your finances. Hopefully you've learned something from some of those habits along the way. And as I said at the start, if you're able to stitch a few of those or all of those together in your financial system, in your financial planning, then you're really going to be on track to making your money work as hard as possible for you and also make the best decisions that allows your money to grow over time. Hopefully you found this video useful. I'm going to be doing lots more videos like it on the channel, so do make sure you keep an eye out for those. They're going to be covering lots of other topics like pensions, savings, growing your money and lots of other topics as well, so do keep an eye out for those. But other than that, all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.